Okay, it's 4 o'clock, guys.
We're on.
Very cool.
Hey! Hello, welcome to Travel Talk Tuesday live with Charlie the Traveler and me, Lainey Melnick. Today we are on our 20th episode. Can you believe that, Charlie?
That is something special. I stopped counting. It makes me feel old.
Well, we have to count. It's episode 20. So today we are talking about the Galapagos Islands, one of my most favorite destinations in the world. It is such a great diving destination and wildlife destination and just crazy adventure. It's so different than everything else in the entire world. I really love it there. So I can't wait to talk to Charlie about what he does through the Galapagos. But before we get started, I just want to go over some housekeeping. If you would like to scan the QR code in the corner, then you can enter to win an amazing land vacation through Italy this quarter. So it goes by your email address. So please enter to win at the link that pops up when you scan the QR code. In addition, if you put a hashtag Travel Talk Tuesday in comments on any of our streaming platforms, we are streaming on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, where else? I think that might be it so far. And YouTube. Just put hashtag Travel Talk Tuesday and you will get a $50 gift certificate towards any Charlie the Traveler tour anywhere in the world that you book through my agency, Dream Vacations, Lainey Melnick and Associates out of Austin, Texas. Okay, so let's get started, Charlie.
Let's talk about it. So one of my trips to Ecuador, I've been more than once, I treated myself on my 40th birthday. Just a little bit after my 40th birthday, to do Ecuador and the Galapagos, and it's a beauty.
It is. I just love the seals, the sea lions, and being able to dive and play with them while they're blowing at your snorkel mask and doing flips with you. And then you look over and there's like a little lizard swimming by you. It's just a crazy place.
It is indeed. I could tell you this, the price of the cruises have almost doubled since COVID. And that's a hard thing. So we use good yachts and stuff. There's ones that are even more prestigious, but the cost of them have gone up a lot. So what we typically do is tell people, okay, look, let's get you on a good boat, right? That's comfortable and clean, some good food and stuff like that. Some people say, no, we just want the cream of the crop, and they're okay with paying the extra amount. But generally, we tell people just kind of balance quality and cost, because we're not talking a couple $100 difference here. I mean, we're talking like
thousands.
Like $3,500 difference type of thing.
But
the same exact duration, same destination, right. Same duration. So.
But I do sell those too. I went on Celebrity, fabulous all suites, and everything's included. So you can go both ways with my agency. I like to use Charlie when you want to do everything you want, really the bang for the buck. So Charlie is great at that and making sure that you get what you pay for.
So there's a few things that people are doing in more recent years that I discourage. One of them is the just pure day trips. So you're in the Galapagos Islands. They say, okay, well, this is really expensive. So I will base myself in Puerto Villamil or Puerto Ayora. Those are the two bases out there in the Galapagos Islands. And then they're going to say, I'm going to base myself in one or two of these places, and I'll just end up doing all these day trips. I'll see all the same stuff and save myself money and, Right. It sounds great. In practice, it doesn't work because you end up spending more time in transit than you are actually getting to these places that you want to spend your time in.
And not only that, but they cancel last minute. And so if you've depended on this day trip that you want to go this one day, and then they cancel on you and you're out of luck for seeing anything that day.
Exactly. So that's another layer of problems. with those type of excursions. I mean, we do it, but to a limited extent, and I'm going to explain in a second how we do that. Um, but if you're going to do only that, yes, you're going to be spending way more time getting to and from. Okay. The second part of that problem is it's not going all the way into the important places. It's just kind of going on the edge of it. So the more remote you are, the better stuff you're going to see out there. So, when you're on like a yacht, for example, you go to that place that the day trip goes, and then you can go even further and further and further. You can't do that when you're doing these day trips from the villages. The second part is these boats that take you tend to be bigger. And then for environmental laws and all this kind of stuff, they're not allowed to get as close to these beautiful places when you get in the water and you see all like a circus inside there with animals. Because they're bigger boats, they can't get to all that stuff. It's the same thing when you take like an actual ship cruise in the Galapagos. You don't want that. So you want relatively small yachts. So you can, one, see more area, spend less time just getting to and from, and get deeper inside. You need small boats.
Right. And what the big ships do, like celebrities, bigger ships, they put you in zodiacs. So you put 8 to 12 people in a zodiac, and then you can go on land that way. But you have to take turns because you can't have everybody out there at once. There are laws about how many people can be on land.
Yeah, that's correct. They also don't go as deep inside as the yachts do, even with the zodiacs. But to each his own. Some people want like the ships and more. They want more of an experience. Like, hey, I'm on a ship than the place they're visiting. For me, in the Galapagos, I want to see the cream of the crop stuff. So I want to get deep in there to see it, and I don't care if it's remote or whatever. There's places that they would take me to, and just on the surface, they're like, okay, why are you wasting my time here? Like, we're just in the middle of nowhere. They're like, okay, put on your wetsuit. Because the water in some areas is cold. Some is warm. Other places, just for whatever reason, I'm not a geologist to understand all this, but yeah, certain places are really cold. So you put on the suit, put on the goggles, the whole 9 yards, and you're like, why am I here? And then you get yourself inside the water, you see, and it's a whole different world.
It is.
It's just, and there's seals looking right at you, and they're doing these little spins. They go around you, and there's other animals. I mean, it's like, for me, I got so amped when I did that, with just so many animals circling all around me. You're not going to get hurt. Nothing's going to bite you. But just being a part of this was really like a wow,
So I think to kind of, for people who don't even understand the Galapagos at all, we're talking about the part of the world, South America, where Darwin went and found these very remote islands where there's different species on every island. So that's how he came up with his theories about evolution. So it's just a really fascinating place to be. And there are lots of little islands. There's a North Loop and a South Loop. So there's lots of places to go that are completely different. Every single island is different.
Indeed. The whole Darwinism stuff and evolution, it is really fascinating, even for people who don't believe in it. But just going from one island to the next and seeing the difference in appearance of these animals, the birds and stuff. I mean, you got like the blue-footed birds.
Boobies. Blue-footed boobies.
Boobies. Yeah, everybody likes boobies, They even have a T-shirt that says that.
Yeah.
Come to Ecuador and see all the boobies. So,
and those blue feet, I mean, they are like really bright blue. They're beautiful little feet.
Yeah, indeed. So to see all these little, and then you have like the, you have some of the seals, some of them swim, some of them don't, this and that. And from, I guess, all of that, he was able to kind of figure out that just we as creatures adapt to different environments. And then he started exploring the things with humans and, how the possibility that we share DNA with primates and all this kind of stuff. So it makes perfect sense to me. It really does.
And I think there's a misconception from a lot of people who do think that they can just fly to this country, stay in a hotel, and do day trips, and you're seeing everything. It's totally not at all the same. So you first of all, you have to go to an island to have a hotel. You're not on mainland. And then you're out there trying to get to the different islands, and they're just far away, so you can't get to them. That's why, as Charlie said, you can't do it in a day trip.
Yeah. So yeah, we're going to cover all that stuff right now. So
Okay.
It's a good point. So the mainland is something I definitely want to cover with you as well. I think a lot of people neglect the mainland, and it's
Yeah. Quito.
really not just Quito. I mean, which is one of the prettiest colonial cities, but also the Quilotoa, which is this caldera. We're going to get to all that stuff, but this stuff is just as beautiful as what you see in the Galapagos Islands, and people just skip it, do Galapagos, and call it a day. The Galapagos Islands were never fought over by the colonists, so they didn't think it was worth anything. And then suddenly they're like, wait a minute, this is the backbone of our economy almost. And people were coming there, and they want to see it. So there are islands there that look like Jurassic Park. And it's amazing to see the behavior of these animals. Like they're, some of the iguanas and all that. And the sounds they make, and you're there, and they look at, like, if you want them to move, they kind of look at you like, hey buddy, you don't see that I'm here? Like there's no fear of humans or anything. It's crazy. Like even the flies, like anywhere else in the world, when you go like that with your hand, the flies, they run. But over there, like, it's almost like, because they didn't see humans for so many hundreds of thousands of years, that their whole response mechanism is like they don't care you're here, but
Right. You're just part of their world now.
Yeah, really. Complete different response mechanism to how they operate over there. So you talked about the different areas of the Galapagos. There's the eastern, there's the western, there's the north. There is no one cruise that will cover everything. So what we typically do, we do the Western Galapagos, which covers a lot of the important stuff. And then what that cruise doesn't cover, we usually do base you in Puerto Ayora, which is a village over there. And we do 2 day trips. So, and you end up covering stuff that obviously you can't, because, going west, now we're taking you north and east and stuff like that. And this way you get a better overall idea of the Galapagos as a whole. So like Bartolome Island, that's where they have that famous split of the beaches. And it's like one of the postcard photos of the Galapagos Islands. Most of the cruises don't go there. So, I tell people, don't only do cruise, don't only do day trip, do a little hybrid of them. Obviously, with more part of it, though, being the cruise.
I would also recommend that you go in a season that you're interested in what's happening during that season. Like I was there during the nesting season for oh my gosh, I can't think of the name of the bird. It's the bird that Big Bird is named after, or is created after. I can't think do you remember what they're called? I don't remember. But the babies are just adorable little mini big birds. And I wanted to be there during their nesting season. So that is how I booked it. So if you care about wildlife and you care about specific timing, it's good for you to think about that up front.
Yeah, indeed. There's different like seasons for different breeding and stuff. But it is popular year round.
Yes.
There's some places are very seasonal. The Galapagos Islands are popular year round. Regardless, you're not going to be flying directly into the Galapagos Islands. You're going to fly into Guayaquil, which I don't recommend, or B, into Quito. That's the one that I tell everybody to arrive into. We highly encourage, and the way we do our package is with the mainland. We recommend that people do both the mainland and the Galapagos. We do that in 12 days, including the day that you arrive and depart. You first arrive in Quito, and from Quito, you can make really nice day trips. One of them is to this place called Otavalo, and that whole area near Otavalo They've got these native markets and all kinds of artwork they have and all kinds of goods that they've made. And then you're meeting a lot of like the true like indigenous people of Ecuador. So that's a nice part. We end up taking you to like someone's house and seeing how they live, and they have these I know the name in Spanish. I don't know the name in English. Kui, or they're basically the one they look like hamsters. Like
Oh, ugh, I can't think of their names.
yeah, they look like hamsters basically. They're very proud of them. So we take you into like a home, and these things, and they're cute. Don't worry, they don't look like rats. They're running around everywhere, everywhere. So you go inside the house, and you see what's going on, and yeah, you see these things running all over the place. So the guy felt very comfortable with me, and I was joking with the guy, and we laughed, and I whipped out my phone and I said, "I'm sorry, what's your Wi-Fi password?" And then he just like, and like he kind of laughed, and then I said, "Okay, where's your bathroom?" And he said, "Well, it's under construction," which I knew what that meant. They go outside type of thing. So this is the real deal stuff, guys. This isn't Disneyland. Like you're going into very authentic native homes and seeing exactly how they live with the animals and with everything else. And, the wife will come out, the kids will come out. Even when you tip them, they're not expecting a lot of money. You probably already know this, Lainey, but they use the US dollar in Ecuador. That is their currency. And on the mainland, things are still relatively cheap. So anyway,
there is altitude there in Quito. So it's for you to get used to, correct? Am I remembering that correctly?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to get to now. So this is why we, like the day that you arrive, we may do like a little tour of Quito. The next day, we try to go to Otavalo and all of that just because of the elevation's better. We need you there for a couple of days before we take you to Quilotoa and Cotopaxi. Cotopaxi is a volcano, and we try to do both in one day. The altitude is very high for Cotopaxi. We just take you to the base. If we take you the day after you arrive, you're going to get very sick. And you could pass out, and it's cold over there and all this kind of stuff. So we got to get your body acclimated. And once we've done that, we take you over there. You are going to see some snow. You need a good jacket. We also help you get these little portable oxygen tanks. I really recommend people have those. They're cans, they're not tanks, and you just basically bring it.
They have them at Dick's Sporting Goods. They have them at REI, camping stores. They're just like little oxygen things.
Yeah, and they help out a lot. They really do. And then we take you to this base, and then there's a little shop there where you get some tea and stuff. And for people who really get sick, they have coca leaves and some things like that will really help you. But it's a beautiful place to see. And then after that, we take you to Quilotoa. That's that caldera, and it's really pretty, this caldera. And the water's really a beautiful color. You walk down, you see it, go kayaking inside the caldera. And then to come back up, now it's a real incline, right? It's a little bit of a pain in the neck to do it. So we provide you with a donkey, and you use a donkey to come back up. So, yeah.
I used a donkey in Santorini, and people give me a really hard time on YouTube about my using a donkey. So is it good for the animals? Is there some humane use of the donkeys?
Well, there's two parts. Number one, don't let yourself get too heavy. You know what I mean? Just take it easy with the French fries. But my thing is like if you want to walk up, you're not going to offend me. So you're welcome to walk back up. It's a little bit steep there. So so we. There's a lot of older people too. We get younger people, of course, but what about the people that are in their 60s and stuff, and maybe the hips hurt a little bit, the knees, like, they need some help getting up. So we provide them with an option, and if they want it, they're welcome to take it. And if they'd like to walk, perfectly fine with us. As long as they see the beautiful places, we're happy,
Right.
And then what we do before you fly to the Galapagos Islands, we do a tour in Quito itself with the colonial architecture and squares and cathedrals and these pretty streets and everything else. There's also some good nightlife for anybody who wants to see that. But I would definitely rank it among the prettiest cities in Latin America. I would put in the top 10 for sure.
And you must go to the equator while you're there. Or
I get mixed reviews on that one.
oh, really?
Yeah, I do. Well, number one, they miscalculated. Okay, so the spot that they take you to is they're a little bit off on that thing. So that's number one. The second part of it, there's nothing you really see. So it's
Right.
not like it feels any different or looks any different. It just imagine me taking you to like a parking lot or something. Okay, I tell you, okay, here's an equator, but nothing happens. You know what I mean? So some people get let down by it. Sometimes people ask us to take them, and we take them, but we try to make their expectations realistic and just know what it is and what it's not.
Right.
Usually, for people who put a little bit of thought into it, they just say, you know what, like, just give me all the time in Quito itself because there's so many pretty things to see over there. There's a cable car. We take you to get beautiful views. There's nice restaurants. The food's really good over there.
Yeah.
So, why don't we just spend the whole day in this very romantic, charming colonial city? And, it's okay as you guys want. It's a private tour, so it's easy for us to pick and choose that,
So just to explain too, Quito is in the country of Ecuador. So we're talking South America, that's the mainland. You're going to land in Quito. And then from there, you take a smaller plane to Baltra to get to the Galapagos.
Correct. And sometimes people have extra time. There's this place called Baños where they have just these outdoor activities. That tends to be more for kids who just want to kind of play and that kind of thing. It's not that there's so many pretty things to see over there. It's just guys who want to meet other backpackers. Typically, we don't put that one on the tour. Ecuador also has the Amazon. I've been over there, of course. There's other areas of South America that have a little bit of a better experience with the Amazon, but Ecuador has that. But yeah, the mainland part where the Andes are and the Galapagos are the two most popular places for sure. Most of our tours, you can start on any date. The two exceptions, Egypt and Ecuador. And they're for the exact same reason. And that's because the cruises have fixed departure dates.
Right. But they go all year round. It's not like you have to go this specific day in February or whatever. It's continual.
They keep going, but so the cruises have fixed departure dates. So let's say the cruise is on the 6th. Usually they have 2 or 3 start dates during the month. So let's just say, for example, the 16th of February, they got a cruise, right? So we're going to 12, 13, 14, 15. Yeah, so we'll need you in Quito on the 12th of February, you see, because we're going to do the mainland first. And then basically we're going to get you flying out on the 16th so you can be taken onto the yacht.
Right. So, and just to explain too, so there are a number of cruise lines that do Galapagos cruises. So what we're talking about with Charlie's tours is that he is using these yachts, not a cruise line, right?
Correct. So if you want the cruise lines, there's more departure dates, there's more of this stuff. The disadvantage is what I was describing earlier, that they don't cover the area as well as the yachts do. But to each his own. Some people say, hey, look, I'm sorry, I can't compromise on the dates. I'm okay with seeing a little bit less as long as they accommodate my dates. And then other ones are saying, no, I want to see the best of the best. And if I have to move my dates around 5 or 6 days, then I'll do it because I, only have one chance in my life to go there, type of thing. So.
Right. And availability on these little yachts is smaller because there's not, how many people do they accommodate?
Exactly. So these yachts have typically something like 10 rooms, 9 rooms, things like that. So it's not that, there's so many people going on it, but, you figure 10 rooms, that's 10 bookings. so they do fill out relatively quickly.
Hmm.
They're more popular than the big ships. So I tell people to try to book out as early as they can, to get themselves a good date in a good cabin room. Um, we also discourage people. They can travel solo. We do get solo travelers doing this, but often the case is there's the supplemental fee on the cruise.
Mm.
That's not something that we impose, but pretty much if they didn't do that, everybody would say, just give me my own room, right?
Right.
So they have like a 50% supplemental fee on the cruise. The way around it is to share it with somebody, another solo traveler. So the way they do that is they will sell it to you at the regular. Well, we sell it to you at the regular price, but they will reserve the right to put someone of the same gender as you
Mm.
in there. Um,
And these are small rooms. So if you don't know somebody, it's a pretty small cabin, but some people are great about sharing with anybody. They don't care. But if you care about that, just pay the extra 50% and get your own room.
yeah, for me, I don't want those kind of surprises. I don't want to be in my boxers sleeping like a baby, and all of a sudden some guy with a huge mustache walks in, and hey, buddy, I don't know who you are, but nice to meet you, type of thing. So, um, yeah, so either pay the supplement or bring somebody with you,
Right.
and
Bring a
yeah,
friend.
yeah, bring a friend, a wife, somebody. You know what I mean? Um, uh, so that's kind of what that is right there. So you do need domestic airfare from the mainland to the Galapagos Islands. Um,
So
we
that's
say,
not included in your package.
no, we include it.
Oh, you do?
We include it. Sometimes people though want to get their own domestic flights because they have points with a credit card, for example,
Hmm.
um, and we do it. It's fine with us. We're flexible with that kind of stuff.
And
But
we do book your air. We tell you when you need to fly and stuff, so you don't have to worry about any of that. But if you have specifics that you want, of course, let us know.
yeah, and I tell people, please don't calculate this yourself. It'll blow up in your face. So
Hmm.
both this because this one's not common sense. The two countries that are not common sense with flights, Brazil and Ecuador. Um, so what ends up often happening, to be honest with you, more times than not, I can't believe it's raining right now. Um, what happens more times than not, um, we have to buy one-way flight into Quito, another flight leaving the country, and then you get the domestic flights.
Right.
So when people just try to put round trip, whatever, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you why. So the cruises, they end, and then you do the 2 day trips from Puerto Ayora and the Galapagos Islands. Then we need to get you on one airlines from the Galapagos to the mainland. They all have fixed departure times. So this is why I tell people, make sure your flight from the mainland back to the United States does not leave any earlier than 4 p.m. And then people just say, just do it for me. I don't want to deal with this. And that's easy. So at that point, we
Hmm.
use one airlines to get them into Quito. We use a different airlines to get them from Ecuador back home. And we know not to get somebody a flight before 4 p.m. on the 12th day, so
Yeah. I
yeah.
actually have had clients who only want me to do their air. They've already gotten their accommodations and everything in the area, but they are so confused about the air that they ask me to do it for them, which is fabulous. I'm happy to do air. But it is complicated there.
Yeah, I have literally like training videos and training manuals for people who work with my company. And like there's literally a whole script and figuring out how to do it. Not common sense at all. Um, so yeah, that's what that is. The food's good there. They have this fruit. It's my second favorite fruit in the whole world,
Mm.
grenadina. Grenadina. It looks just like a boring fruit on the outside. It looks like it kind of has the shape of a baseball, and it's just kind of like like the color of a banana, you know, so it doesn't look pretty at all. But when you open that thing up and you eat it, it's like, oh God. And it's really cheap too. So um, you can get like for $1 a huge volume of it.
Mm.
Um, so anybody watching this video, please bring some back home to me. I, I miss those things.
Okay, so let's get back to your tour. So you get the small plane then into Baltra, where you start. You're basically at the beginning of the Galapagos Islands.
So the day after we've done all the mainland stuff, and we've now flown you from Quito to the to the airport. It's the Baltra airport. We have you picked up at the airport, and we get you from the airport to the yacht
So
straight.
you're going by a water taxi.
It's both land, water, land again. But I mean, you're just with your tour guide, so you know,
Right.
you're not gonna have to figure this stuff out for yourself.
I just want to make sure people get that you're not flying to another mainland. You're flying to an island.
You're flying to the Galapagos Islands
Right.
from the mainland, you know, and then there's somebody there with the sign and all this kind of stuff. You do have to bring cash, $200. We try to make everything inclusive because we don't really like surprising people with fees. Like to pay this out of your pocket, it's annoying. But this is one that's unavoidable for any company operating in Ecuador. At the airport, there's an environmental fee or an entry fee. They only take cash, and they only take it from the passenger upon arrival. So even if you gave me the money, I can't pay it on your behalf.
Okay.
So yeah, when you first arrive, there's that $200 thing, and you pay it, and then they let you in, type of thing. Then there's somebody there with the sign. You follow him. You're usually with a biologist, you know, and then you get taken onto the yacht, and then that's how things start over there. And then you got your cabin room, and you're already shown stuff on the day of arrival.
So on these yachts, they include your meals and I assume and drinks, or how does that work?
Basic drinks, yeah. If you start, you know, stocking up on alcohol, no, but like just basic drinks and stuff. The food is pretty good. So all the meals while you're on the cruise are included.
Okay. And a note about being at altitude when you drink alcohol, it's like you multiply it by 4. So one drink is like drinking 4 drinks, depending on how high you are. But just beware drinking when you're at high altitudes.
Well, yeah, in the Galapagos Islands, you don't have that altitude problem, but when you're on the mainland,
Right.
you have that problem. And there is that one alcohol, the chicha, I think that's what it's called, and that stuff is strong. You know,
Yeah.
you know, if I have one drink of that, I'm all yours. You know what I mean? So, and they do like that. They really do like that drink over there. So Galapagos Island, you don't have the altitude problem. You're on the cruise. You're being fed. You have basic drinks on there. And every day you're shown stuff. I mean, snorkeling gear is provided. I already said previously that the wetsuit is provided.
And so they don't normally do diving on these types of cruises, but it's usually an add-on if you want to do a dive.
Yeah,
You don't have to though.
Yeah, if you want to add it, we can add it, but you have to bring your certificate with you. You can't just. You have to say that you're certified for diving.
But I'm a diver, and I was only snorkeling while I was in the Galapagos, and it is a fabulous experience just snorkeling. Like you don't have to dive. It's but go ahead.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like it was so, because everything's in front of your face, so
Yeah.
you don't need to go so much deeper to see it. You know, it's about the animals over there. It's not so much like the coral and that kind of thing. So
Right.
yeah, you don't need it, but I mean, some people want it anyways. And if you got the certificate, we can simply add it. But every day, so this cruise is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's a 5-day cruise. They have ones that are longer, but 5 is a good duration, in my opinion. and you see good stuff. I mean, you see that we talked about the blue-footed boobies, um, penguins. You see penguins, that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
Um, you see these iguanas as well. Those ones are pretty crazy. The iguanas inside the water. Those ones are
I
really,
know when they swim by you, it's like you're looking at dinosaurs swimming by you. It's just the craziest thing.
yeah, they are. And it's also fun when you see them like about to get into a fight with each other because they're very territorial. They kind of give
Uh-huh.
each other this like nasty look. And it's like, man, this is, I thought only we humans are like this. No, they got the same instinct as we do. Um, so, I mean, I could tell you the name of all these different points and stuff. People who are listening to this right now, they kind of get an idea. You're seeing stuff that
Hmm.
you cannot see anywhere else on the planet. Uh,
And they can't guide you onto these islands unless they're certified. Like so every yacht or cruise or however you go has to have certified people who are naturalists and know how to handle the environment where you are. Lots of regulations.
yeah, they're usually biologists and stuff like that. So
Hmm.
I mean, they're basically doctors who are taking on these excursions. And they have a very deep understanding of the animals, and you learn a lot. I mean, geez, you learn so much on this. And sometimes you're going to see the seals taking the fish out of the water. I mean, I saw it. He just went right inside there and he's eating the fish in front of me, type of thing. Um,
So on the cruise I was on, we got a choice of whether to do a super strenuous hike every day or a mild hike. Like that was the kind of choice we had. You don't get to choose like where you go. So on the yachts, do they have an easier hike and a strenuous hike?
Same. So the destinations are fixed, and then people who just usually the first half of it is easier, and then from there it's either would you like to go back or would you like to continue type of thing, and then when you're continuing it's a little bit higher elevation and whatnot, um, and yeah, some people say I want to go back. Other people they say no, I want to see what's next because there's always something
Right.
next that's a big deal. So
And
if somebody
don't feel bad about using walking sticks. Like some of these islands, I use two walking sticks so I could stay upright because it's like you're on another planet. It's a very different topography.
Yeah, yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, those sticks are. I didn't use them, but most of the people around me they were using them, so nothing wrong there. You're also going to see sharks over there.
Mm.
Typically, these aren't sharks that bite you, so don't get freaked out. I mean, I had sharks swimming right next to me. Um,
I did not see any sharks while I was there, so that's crazy.
yeah, but these are just sharks that just
Hmm.
like they don't care about you. Um, and then typically on the ninth day of this 12-day tour, we give you a tour in the morning, and you get to see more animals. And then after that, we get you off the yacht and we take you to Puerto Ayora. I've talked about that previously.
And
Um,
that's
the,
Santa Cruz Island, right?
that is Santa Cruz, yeah. And we take you to Puerto Ayora. You stay at a nice hotel over there. The day that you arrive, we take you to these crevices. They're called Las Grietas. They're really pretty. And it's just like I mean, the crevices, I don't know another way to describe it, but um, that's what they're called. You go swimming over there, um, and the rock formations are really beautiful. And we also take you to Tortuga Bay. That's where you have this like long beach with white sands. Um,
Mm.
and it's more of a tropical experience. Um,
And then Santa Cruz, where there's the tortoises also.
yeah, and we take you to those though.
Mm.
Those big old uh,
Hmm.
the turtles. Yeah,
Yeah.
we take you to enough of that when you're on the cruise. So now that
Uh,
you're off the cruise, we're showing you other stuff. We're showing you more about like
I see.
the scenery now, how
Mm.
pretty the scenery is. Because the yacht is more about the animals, not so much about the pretty outside surroundings. When you're on the land, now we start showing you the pretty surroundings
Gotcha.
and stuff. So then the next day after that, we take you to Bartolome Island. That's where it has those two beaches that split
Hmm.
off. That's one of the like postcard photos of the Galapagos Islands. But on that day trip, you're taking to some other nice places where you see some really impressive animals as well. So it's not only about that nice view. You also see like more turtles and penguins and sharks and all these multicolored fishes and stuff like that. Um, and then we just have one more day trip. From there, we take you to Floriana Island.
Oh, okay.
You
I was
go,
at both of those.
you what?
I went to both of those.
You went?
Floriana. Yes, Bartolome and Floriana. Yep.
Yeah, they're all good stuff. And then on the 12th day, we get you from the Galapagos Islands to the mainland, and then you typically take a flight after 4 o'clock back to North America or wherever you're going. Typically, those flights leave a bit late, so they kind of be red eye.
Right.
So some people say, you know what, I don't like taking a late night flight. I want instead just to sleep in Guayaquil. That's the other international city in Ecuador, so Quito and Guayaquil. And they'll say, you know what, just let me sleep over here tonight, and then the following morning, then I'll take the international flight. And we say, okay, no problem. So what we end up doing is picking you up, taking you to a really nice hotel not far from the airport. They got a nice swimming pool and stuff. People kind of relax and then fly out the next day.
So, so the reason lots of people don't do the Galapagos is because it's very pricey. If you do it with Celebrity, these suites, I think it's a minimum of $5K just to get the cruise part and not to do the pre and post and all of the things that you want to do with it. So with Charlie, though, it is much more value oriented. So how much is it per person for your 12 nights?
Now I'm going to get on my computer. Let me look this thing up.
Okay.
Everything else I always have memorized. This is the one that I don't. Okay, yeah. So this one, so you talked about 5,000, and you're on a bigger boat that takes you to fewer places. Okay.
Well, I don't know about that, but okay.
All right.
They do it differently. Let's just say.
They do it differently. So that one alone is 5. This one, including 5-star hotels on the mainland and lodging in the Galapagos Islands and the yacht cruise, the whole thing, that one is, let me see, $43.91. So that's the mainland and
right.
And then if you want the domestic flights included, that's another $550.
So I mean, it's hard to get really super low cost in the Galapagos. The people who nickel and dime and try to break it up and go to a hotel and day trips and do it that way, they really don't have a good experience with it all. You know, I would definitely say spend the money. Like, you need to spend the money to get the right experience in the Galapagos.
Yeah. So I just totaled with the domestic flights. It's $49.41 with the hotels and with the cruise and the domestic flights. So it's a good
value. It is. It's a good value. And when I said starting is 5, it can go up to 15,000 a person. Like, I mean, it's not 5 is just your total low cost entry level. So. Yeah. So it's a great value, and you get everything. You get your guides, the whole thing. It's a little different doing these kinds of expedition kind of cruises than you would in a normal cruise. Like, you don't have excursions. Everybody does the same thing every day. So, and it's all included. It's a program. But I love Galapagos. I've been all over the world. I know Charlie's been all over the world. I've had 7 continents. It's one of my top 5, I'd say, in the world of where I've been.
One of your top 5, huh?
Yeah, you don't agree?
It's a good one. No, I'm just because I never heard your top 5 before. That's why I was just kind of.
Well, Antarctica was also one of my top 5. I loved Antarctica, but not everybody loves it. Like, it's not for everyone.
I just want to know why you're not inviting me. That's what I want to know. Here are all these fun things to do.
I can't afford you.
And I can't afford you either. That's why I invite you.
That's actually really true because my tastes.
I do. I heard about your dinners in Tahiti. I said, geez,
Yes. So
I'll
in Puerto Ayora, right, in Santa Cruz Island, they have a Relayan chateau there. So they have these amazingly beautiful high five-star hotels. It is way more expensive than everything that we're talking about to do it that way. So I'm not sure what hotel you use there. I expect you don't use the Relayan chateau.
that one no, but I still use five-star hotels.
Mm.
We've kind of touched on this throughout the show. Um, Ecuador and how you do it, there's nothing common sense about it. So if you don't know what you're doing, you could really spend a
Yeah.
lot of money very quickly. It takes people like us who've been there, done our research, to kind of know how to get good value. Some people just want that hotel that you're talking about, regardless. Just give me, if you want that, call Lainey and she'll make sure it happens.
Yes.
Other people are like, you know what, I want quality,
Mhm.
but I want value. You know what I mean? So I still would like the five-star hotel. I'd still like a nice yacht cruise and this kind of stuff. Some of the other bells and whistles, I don't need it. I rather, focus on what I'm seeing. And that's what Charlie the Traveler tries doing. It tries to give you
Right.
that good balance between cost and experience.
But it's also customizable, right? So even if I have somebody who really wants to use your tour in Galapagos, but they want to go to the Relayan Chateau for a couple nights when you're there, we can do that. You can still pick them up there, right?
Yeah, we'll pick them up. Just book it with Lainey. She'll get you inside that hotel. Um,
Right.
it's no problem for us. Whatever makes you happy.
Yeah. And
That's it.
that's one of the reasons I love working with Charlie is because basically you can go on any day, although this one's a little more tricky, but you can almost go on any day that you want, and then customize everything that you can customize. So he works at, is this a private tour or a shared tour?
When we get one person, we make it shared. Most of it we make it shared.
Okay.
But
Well, on the cruise you have to, obviously.
that part, yeah, everything in the Galapagos is shared. On the mainland, though, we do a lot of it shared. If it's just one person, if it's two people or more, we automatically do it private. So the
Okay.
Quito tour, the day trip to Quito and Paxi, the Otavalo day trip as well. We do it private, and I recommend people don't try doing it by yourself. You need, like, we provide like a tour guide driver on the mainland, and that person is taking you to Cotopaxi, and they're taking you. They know how to do it. They know exactly where to walk, where to not walk. Arranging the donkeys for you. All this kind of stuff. And this, of course, on the Galapagos cruise, you don't want to figure out your own way to get to the boat. You want somebody at the airport picking you up.
Right. That's what I've had clients who didn't understand. They wanted to do an Airbnb on the island and they just do it all themselves. And they don't understand that it's not so easy. You don't just grab a taxi from this airport. So it is a complicated itinerary, and that's one of the reasons why Charlie has chosen special destinations to do his tours around the world. These are not the easiest destinations to do on your own. Those he doesn't have tours for, right?
That I don't have tours for.
The easy destinations. Like there's a reason you do a tour here.
Yeah, you don't need me in. You don't need me in Paris, for example.
Right.
You don't need me. I mean, they have the hop on and hop off buses, and they've got good train systems. I mean, use Lainey, of course, because she can help you with booking the hotels and flights and all of that. But I go to places that kind of rack your brain if you don't know what you're doing. And that's why, or places that are really expensive and you don't know how to bring the cost down. That's why we're also in Iceland, New Zealand, Canada.
Right.
If you just try to do it yourself, it's like, oh God, this is too expensive. So I know how to, but there has to be a problem for me to solve. If there's no problem, I'm not going to go there because you don't need me anymore. As far as safety, I know we didn't really talk about that one. Obviously in the Galapagos, everything is, it's quite safe.
Yeah.
Very rare that there's problems. even on the mainland, the day trips we take you to are just fine. In Quito in the nighttime, um, we kind of recommend people stay out of the old town at night.
Mm.
Even the better nightlife and all that, it's in the new town area anyway. And the hotels that we have you staying at are in the new town. That's a common theme in South America. Usually, the old towns are really nice in the daytime, and
Mm.
the nighttime they're just people are told, hey, just stay out of the old town, and then usually the nightlife and the better hotels and all that are outside. It's the same thing in Peru and elsewhere. So we just we follow the trend because that's the right way to do it.
All right. Well, we're just about wrapping up here today on our 20th episode with Charlie the Traveler and Lainey Melnick from Dream Vacations in Austin, Texas. Go ahead and scan the QR code and enter to win. I'm giving away a trip to Italy, a land trip, which is a fabulous trip this quarter. And if you put a comment on any of our streaming networks, hashtag Travel Talk Tuesday, you'll win a $50 gift certificate towards any Charlie the Traveler tour anywhere in the world that you book through my agency. And please do book through my agency anything, land or sea or any way. I love Charlie, but we don't have to use Charlie. We can go any other way as well. So let's talk about what we're going to do for episode 21.
Okay, let me look at this thing.
Yeah, we've done a lot of things so far. Obviously, 20.
We haven't done Morocco, Sri Lanka. We haven't done Cabo and Baja California. We haven't done Yucatan and Cancun.
You know what? I was thinking of Israel. Do you think we should do that or no?
Yeah, why not?
I mean, it's a tough time to sell Israel, but I don't know.
No,
I do sell Morocco all the time. Sri Lanka. I have a very good friend from Sri Lanka who was a newscaster there, who's now a travel agent.
You choose. I just answer questions. you got the smile and personality.
Well, let's do Sri Lanka.
You want
I'm
to do
sure.
Sri Lanka?
I'm sure my friend will be very excited that we're doing it.
Sri Lanka is a good one. I actually, because I've spent so much time, I can tell even when I look at somebody, like I've called even in the United States and elsewhere when I've seen people, and I'll just straight up, you're Sri Lankan, aren't you? And they're like, oh my God, how do you know? And I can actually distinguish them from like Indians. They have in their skin, there's almost like a little bit of like a red tint to them, and I can see that. And I'm like, yeah, you're Sri Lankan. So that's a cool destination. It's a little bit off the beaten path, and
Right, totally different.
yeah, that one I have some stories for you that I hope you give me 5 minutes next week to tell you that story because it is a crazy. It's pretty much the craziest thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
Wow. Well, it's a smaller destination. I think we can cover it. Don't you think we can cover it faster than the Galapagos?
Lainey, we've been on the show 20 times. Do I ever cover anything quickly? Unless you stop me, there is no end. You tell, my God, there's even
Well, we ran out of time last time. We went 10 minutes over last time. I think we're good this time. We're stopping on time.
I mean, even with if you didn't stop me, my gosh, I got stories of so many things. Even on this Ecuador tour that we've been talking about now, yeah. So you stopped me. You're doing a good job at it.
So you know what happened to me on my Galapagos tour? I had in those days I had a really great underwater camera. I'm an underwater videographer. It was beautiful, and I don't remember what happened if a sea lion knocked me or something, but I dropped it, and we were so up high, like it was a very deep part of the ocean where it was, and it just sunk, and I lost my camera. But that's why I had travel insurance, and it covered my cost of my loss. So that's why you should have travel insurance.
We require you to have travel insurance. It's something that we don't let people get around. For that reason, or flight delays, or you have health problems, God forbid.
Yeah.
We need people to have. I'm going to tell you one quick one about Galapagos. You slip one in there. I'm going to slip.
Okay, we have 5 minutes.
So this one actually doesn't have about the country itself. It was about one of the passengers on the cruise. Everybody sat there and listened to this guy because he would have stories about what he did to always learning how to like cheat the system and stuff like that. And just everybody were listening to this guy with their mouth open, like, oh my God. Like, first of all, he's admitting to this stuff. And he had this one trick with the supermarkets and how he'd go and he's getting all these points, and that's how he bought his airfare for the trip to Ecuador. And then he started talking to us about his parents, and he like was getting upset. He's like, my parents are spending all my inheritance money and stuff. And I'm just like, honestly, I have a Greek dad. If I ever said that to him, he would souvlaki slap me in the face. I would fly from here to Ecuador for free with his fat hand, just like,
Yeah, no. My money is not an inheritance. No.
Yeah, so never tell your parents you're spending my inheritance. That's
No.
good morning or I love you, Mom, but yeah.
All right, a great way to end the show.
Respect your parents.
That's right, definitely. Well, it was a great show today. Thanks, Charlie, for joining me, and I can't wait to talk Sri Lanka next week. So see you for Travel Talk Tuesday next time. Thank you all.
Bye.